and it's lights out.
Welcome back to another episode of Drive Thru Penalty. I'm Sean. I'm here with my father Craig as always. And this week we are at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, also known as the Baku Circuit. And this week it's going to be interesting because we have ourselves another race on a street track.
Don't tell me, is this one of your favorite tracks of all time?
I know that I say every track is my favorite. You know what? I love them all for their own
That's
reason.
okay, you're supposed to.
What I really like about this one and what I find challenging racing in it, especially in the sim, and I'm sure all the drivers find the same challenges, is that the straights are extremely long, you are going incredibly fast, and then at the end of these straights, you are hard braking at a 90-degree turn. It's incredibly challenging.
It must be fast, because in 2016, Valerie Bottas hit 378 kilometers, which to this day is still the fastest that any Formula One car has been clocked on. Oddly enough, 2016 was the first year. How come in 2025, nobody's gone as fast as the cars did in 2016?
So as we mentioned, setups are extremely important here. We find that some teams do better on high-speed tracks. This is kind of like Monza in that sense. We expect teams like Williams to do good, but there's a couple drivers that historically have always done really well here. And I'm talking about Mr. Baku himself, Charles Leclerc.
Well, sorry, but he talks about that guy every week.
Well, the last 4 years in a row, he's had pole there. He hasn't won a race, but he is pretty good at the circuit. Guys like Lando Norris, not so much. I think he was out in Q1 last year. His other buddy, though, he does pretty good here. So we'll kind of see how this one plays out. I still expect veterans like Lewis Hamilton to do well because as challenging as the season is...
His car's red?
Because his car's red, but you know what? It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of confidence. That castle corner where you downshift to second, you go up the hill, it's super tight and narrow. We've seen a few guys crash there. I expect to see guys crash in all the practice sessions this weekend.
Hold on. Who's the best driver on the planet?
If you're looking at world championship titles and all that stuff,
Who's the fastest driver in the world today?
Max Verstappen.
Okay, so don't talk to me about Hamilton knows how to drive fast tracks and Charles Leclerc can do it too. They all can. It depends on the car, but I think it's been proven time and time again that McLaren and then Red Bull probably have a better chance than anybody else.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes this.
I think there's a changing of the guard. I think even like a Mercedes is going to come up and take some of that persona away from Ferrari. Ferrari just hasn't. It's like they've peaked and they can't seem to get out of the rut they're in.
I completely agree with you, as much as it hurts for me to say, and I do expect Mercedes to have a good race this weekend.
Aston Martin's got a fast car. I don't know what else it can do, but they have a very fast car.
I'm excited to watch.
Williams has a fast car. So I'm excited for this race because these fast courses come up with fast drivers. And, let's face it, this is what they want to do.
Totally. And, you mentioned Williams. I think Carlos Sainz will have a good week here this year. Alex Albon has got to be one of the most, I don't even want to say underrated because I think everybody recognizes how good he is. I think he's going to have a great weekend. I would be surprised if we didn't see both Williams in the points this weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, that's okay. That means top 10. We've seen everybody in the top 10, which is very interesting because it makes it, for the pool and everything, it makes it really interesting, because you've got a guy from here and a guy from here and you go, oh my God, so yes, I think just about everybody has a chance to get in the top 10.
And qualifying is obviously extremely important here. Something that a lot of teams have to factor in and something that really helps get you into that Q3 spot is giving your teammate a tow down these straights. And if you're playing the team game here, you're going to see guys like Oscar and Lando take turns and tow each other down that final straight because, yeah, it makes a huge difference when it's, 2 kilometers long. So very, very excited about this one. You said Max Verstappen. The guy's incredible. Most guys, George Russell, he's on his boat with his shirt off in between races. Max Verstappen last week was at the Nürburgring. What I found pretty amusing was, he's just getting his license for this race, and he had to go out with an instructor. The instructor's showing him how to properly take the lines through the Nürburgring. The guy set lap records there already. I don't think he needs an instructor to do it, but I mean, Max is in a whole other league in his own. Whether it's the same for his partner Yuki, I doubt it.
It's not the same for his partner.
You're right. It's not the same for his partner. There's already been talk. You know, we don't like spreading rumors and this and that, but we do a lot of reading. And it seems that Liam Lawson might have an edge going into 2026 for that second seat. I think Isaac Hadjar is obviously a good candidate, but he doesn't seem very excited to get into that second seat.
He knows it's like doing jail time, you know. So the only thing that might change for that is next year they're all new cars. So with the new cars for 2026, you really don't know which brands are going to have the advantage. So you don't know exactly which brands, if you're an up-and-comer, if you had a choice, I don't know if you know which one to choose, because it's going to be there's so much new engineering and technology, and they don't tell each other anything. And, you know, the king of engineering is in Aston Martin. I automatically give Aston Martin a bit of an edge.
For sure. And then, you know, you start thinking of other things and factors like, you know, the battery comes into play a lot more next year in the ERS. And, you know, who's sponsored by a battery company? That's Williams, right? Duracell. So I imagine Duracell and maybe their battery is going to be a little bit better than other teams. So I don't know. I'm excited. The thing I don't like about talking about the 2026 regulations already is that a lot of teams who necessarily aren't in the fight right now, they've already thrown in the towel and they're spending their money and time and development on the car next year opposed to looking at their car and winning races this year. So, I mean, as a fan, you know, if it's not great, but
my concern, Sean, is that, you know how fun it's been this year, and even though you got the orange team kind of pulling away, every weekend is still fun to watch. I don't know what it's going to be like next year. I don't know if somebody's going to nut it and someone else goes, oh, we need batteries? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next year. So I think let's get back to Azerbaijan and talk about this one, because it's going to be a different ball of wax next year.
Well, we've been talking about it, and I think maybe I get in the car, I take you guys for a lap, not in the rain this time, and
well, first I just want to quickly say, like, you know, no offense to Azerbaijan, any of our subscribers there. What the heck are we doing there? Like, why are we in Azerbaijan as opposed to, you mentioned Nürburgring. You know, if all those races and everybody brags about the fastest time at Nürburgring, it's a tremendous course. And it was taken off, well, last time, I think you've heard me say it before, it was taken off because after Schumacher had his trouble, Germany stopped attending. But I think they're ready to go back. And listen, that thing would be so exciting to have the Formula One cars racing it. But no, we're in Azerbaijan. If you have to look it up on a map, if you have to, how do you spell it? If you don't know what language they speak, I mean, they haven't even been a country that long. They were part of the USSR. And they're an oil-rich country, and I think it's pretty safe to say they got the deal they paid $50 million, I think it is, a year. Bernie Ecclestone retired in 2016. In 2017, Azerbaijan started, and they replaced Korea. There was a race in Korea that had been canceled, and that's how they got in. They have a 10-year deal, and it expires in 2026. And please, go back to Germany, especially with Audi coming in. I mean, it just makes sense, you know.
Well, you answered that question yourself there. It comes down to money, and it's why we have a lot of races in that side of the planet.
But they needed money then, in 2016. They don't need money anymore.
Is there such thing as too much money, though?
But I think they could get probably close to that in Germany. So they'd be changing a venue. Like the first year in Azerbaijan, 30,000 people attended the race. 500,000 go to Australia.
You're right. It is a big difference. And would I make a trip out to Azerbaijan over going to some of the...
They say it's a great trip.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm not going.
I'd love to. My dream would be to hit every circuit But there's definitely tracks I'd probably rather go to.
I'm sure the track is beautiful, but they're still at war with the Armenians. It's not a good place to be. Kenya, there you go. There's another place. We could be in Kenya. So I think I've spewed off enough on that one. Why don't you get into Williams?
I like that.
Yeah, and take us out and do a lap at Azerbaijan.
All right, let's do it.
We were at the Baku City Circuit. DRS open on one of the longest straights of the calendar. Breaking at the 150-meter board using that entire track. First the 90-degree corners, using a little bit of curve there. Turn 2, another 90-degree corner here, braking hard at the 100-meter board. Exit is crucial. It's a great straight here to overtake before heading into the third 90-degree corner. And just looking to clip the curbs there. Turn 4 is our first right-hander here. It's a slow, tricky one. And coming up to turn 5 and 6. Very important to get a good line here so you can get a good exit. And coming up to a tight right-hander before we approach one of the trickiest sections here of the track, the castle section. Keeping in low gear, avoiding the walls, all the way down to second. Change the direction into turn 12, and we are heading uphill. We are flat out here, and coming up to a very tricky downhill braking. Downshifting all the way to third gear. The track really tries to push you off. The last 90-degree corner turn and exit is extremely important as we're heading into a long straight. All you have to do now is avoid the walls. Shifting up to 8th gear. And we're about to open up that DRS for one last time. And another great place to overtake here. And that is a lap at Baku.
Thanks for the lap, Sean. Don't think you hit 378, so Mr. Bottas is still in the lead, but maybe you'll try again tonight.
Working on that
when you
stuff
get
a
home.
little bit.
So before we move on to fantasy, I just wanted to bring up something. I had an opportunity. I talked about it before when we did the F1 movies, and I had a chance last week to watch Grand Prix, which is a movie with James Garner that was filmed in 1966. It was the first car racing movie I ever went to, and it was the first movie I ever went to with my friends and not my parents. And I hadn't seen it probably since the 70s. They didn't have access then to rewatching movies and everything. Folks, you have to watch this movie. It was fantastic. And the car racing scenes, even though they were kind of made up, it was a fictional story, but they raced at all the tracks. They raced at Zandvoort, they raced at Monaco, they raced in Belgium, all these places in England and Italy. And when you heard me talk before about how Jackie Stewart has made all these things much safer, and it took him like 7-8 years to do so. And 66 was before him. And there are people walking across, there's a lady crossing the street before the tunnel at Monaco.
Imagine.
Yeah. And people like standing on the side, and like, as we've talked about before, it was very, very dangerous, and there's lots of blood in it. But please watch this movie. It's sensational. It's on YouTube, and it's 230 minutes, I think.
And I got to say, Pops has been telling me to watch this one for a while, and I haven't quite had the chance to sit down and watch it, but I watched a clip the other day, and it was that scene you're talking about in Monaco, and it was fantastic. I can't wait to legally watch that film.
Even one of them got dumped in the water there, right? Just like in real life, it happened twice. But apparently it happened after the movie. So when the movie was filmed, it had never happened before.
It was like one of those Simpsons predicting the future thing. Yeah, cool.
Anyways, that's enough on that. And I think it's a great time for Sean once again to show the Poolies what he suggests, or at least what the numbers suggest, that we do for this weekend in the upcoming Grand Prix.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to use our favorite tool, F1 Fantasy Tools, because again, if you don't make it this long in the video, the F1 Fantasy Tools Budget Builder is incredible to help you build that team for the future, to get to that two-way premium team that we talk about every single week. It also allows you to punch in your current teams you're looking at, and it'll give you a pretty accurate prediction of what's expected from them. So if you're not using it, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. If you're chasing that top 10,000 in the global league, those guys are definitely using it. So you might as well use the resources that are out there for you. And it's an interesting week. So we're going to jump right into it, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to the F1 Fantasy segment portion of this video. We're going to quickly talk about our teams moving into Baku and get ourselves set up for points, but also set ourselves up for budget building. We talk about it every week. Most teams are still chasing that 2A premium build. It's expensive, and I'm still about $5 million away from the team I want, which is McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, and either Leclerc or Russell. I can afford the 2A premium, the 2A light, which is McLaren, Mercedes, Piastri, and Antonelli, but I just haven't seen enough out of them yet this season for me to move into that. And what that unfortunately means is for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be just chasing budget. I'm in third place in the pool right now. I need a differentiator, and which is why I set up my team like this last week with McLaren and Williams. We were at the Temple of Speed, and teams like Williams historically perform better. Craig talked about Aston Martin as another good option. So we did this so we could put in Leclerc. We were hoping that he was going to get driver of the day, etc., etc. It didn't work out the way exactly that we wanted. We did okay, but now we're looking at Azerbaijan, and it's another fast track. So depending on how the free practice sessions go, 1, 2, and 3, I have two options really that I'm looking at. One is sticking with McLaren and Williams, and realistically sticking Piastri and not changing Leclerc either. Mr. Baku himself, he has put himself on pole for the last 4 years in a row, which is pretty good. And that means I'm gonna hop over to the budget builder section of the F1 Fantasy Tools app and look at my tier B drivers and who I wanna keep and who I wanna drop. So Hajar, Behrman, Albon, Colapinto, Bortoleto, all good choices, but really those top 3, Hajar, Behrman, and Albon, are the ones that I would probably want to focus on. So looking back over here at my team, I could potentially drop Sainz, I could potentially drop Lawson, and swap my drivers for Isaac Hajar and Ollie Behrman. Both expected, hopefully, if they just perform all right, we'll get the maximum 0.6 million increase. So that would put me at Williams 0.6, McLaren 0.6, Bortoleto hopefully 0.3, 0.6. That's 1.2, Behrman 1.8, Hajar 2.4, Piastri 5.67, 2.7, and Leclerc, he is not looking too great. So he needs 76 points in order to hit that maximum threshold, 55 for the 0.1. I'm okay if he just kind of sits in and around even, so I can get those points. My other option would be to drop Williams, drop Leclerc, switch my 2 constructors back to Ferrari, and that leaves me 10.8 million. I would have to revert Hajar or Behrman back to Lawson or Sainz to not do that extra -10 transfer, or just stick one of those guys back in there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. If that's something with what my team looks like, I would be okay with it. I really want to make money, and I think by the end of the season, I can still have that 2A premium, which might be just enough time to score a crazy amount of points in the last 3 weeks, use my chips wisely, and hopefully chase that victory. I still have my limitless. I've used a few of my other chips. I'm watching the weather for no negative. And other than that, I'm just gonna watch our practice sessions this week, use the budget builder tool, use the team building tool to kind of predict points, and we're gonna go from there. So send your builds down below, ask any questions you like. Good luck to you, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for that, Sean. Again, as I say every week, keep what you want, give back what you don't. I hope everybody does well this weekend and enjoy the race.
Keep an eye out for the weather. I don't think it's going to affect the quality or the
I hear it's
race.
going to be sandy.
Yeah, sandy, but
Sandy with little hints of oil.
it's going to rain maybe Friday, which will hopefully clear up the track. But traditionally, it's a pretty smooth street circuit. Not too bad on the tires. Pirelli's changing things up. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait. Counting down the minutes. But yeah, I mean, we're in Azerbaijan. Wow.
Do they even have an anthem?
We'll find out.